Hello everyone, I'm Rick Janzen. Welcome to my fly bench. On a recent trip to the Caribou, a relative of mine and I were able to fish Sheridan Lake for 6 days in the middle of September. As usual, Sheridan proved a tough nut to crack. The trout were on hyalella shrimp, and while shrimp patterns would elicit the occasional strike, there was nothing consistent, and they wouldn't stay hooked, attached. They'd become unbuttoned, long line release. It wasn't until I started rooting around in my micro-leech box that I came across a pattern that would turn the tide. And for the last 2 days it was, well, not quite lights out, but much better fishing than we'd had on the first couple. I call it the mud and blood micro-leech. And let's take a look at the materials you're going to need to tie it. Okay everyone, into my vise I've got a number 10 curved scud hook from Togans, and I've got on there a 7/64 black nickel bead. Now you can certainly play around with hook size. Ron was fishing with a number 14 in similar colors. It was doing just as well as mine, but I'm showing this to you in this size because it'll show up on the camera well, and it's exactly the size I was using. So I've got my 70 denier brown tying thread here, and I'm just going to get that attached behind the bead here, lock that bead forward, and we're going to cut off the tag end there. Now I'm coming in with my extra small copper wire, and we're going to cut off the length of that just as soon as I can find the end of it. There we go. Now I've got some dedicated scissors for cutting wire. Don't want to use my regular scissors for that. Okay, my extra small copper wire here. Now I'm going to bring that in and tuck it in behind the bead. Right in there, and we'll get some wraps on there and then secure that down the shank of the hook here. There's something going on with my light there. I think I'll just shut it off. We'll get that down the shank of the hook and secure that in place there. Now I'm coming in with marabou, burgundy marabou, and we're going to tie in a bunch of that for the tail here. I'm just going to find a piece that I want to pull off for the tail. About 1/4 inch, doesn't have to be a whole lot. It is a micro-leech after all. And we're going to secure that in as a tail. Now we can leave it extra long because we'll be tearing it to length later on. I get that tied in there. Bring the thread forward to about halfway up the hook shank, just about front of the point there, and then cut off the tag ends of that marabou there. And we'll just give that a little haircut. Mind the bead, don't want to dull your scissors on that. Okay. Now I'm taking the bringing the thread forward a bit more, taking the copper wire and counter-winding it over the shanks of that marabou to hold it in place. It also gives some ribbing and glitter to the fly from the underside. I'm going to secure that wire in place and then pull it back towards me and out of the way. Now we come in with our brown marabou. This is the mud portion. The burgundy is your blood portion. And the brown marabou will now get layered right on top of the burgundy there and halfway along the hook shank. So give that a couple of wraps, secure it in place. Very simple fly to tie really, when you consider it's just really one material in 2 colors and then the wire. And just bring that thread forward just to behind the bead there, cinch that down in place. And then we're going to cut off the tag ends of that brown marabou. Set that aside. Now we're going to continue forward with our wire. up to the bead and then cinch that off. A couple of wraps behind, a couple in front, another one behind. Now I like to pull that thread on the bobbin tight when I helicopter out. And just get that helicoptered out of there. And we come in with a final piece of burgundy marabou, and again going long on this because I want it to reach the end of the tail. About a 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch. I pull off the stem and I layer that right on top. And then we give that a few wraps there at the head, just behind the bead. And then cut off the tag ends to tidy it up. Trim that a little bit, being a little fussy there. And then I come in with the whip finish. And we'll give that a couple of whip finish turns. 2, 3, 4. And do that again. Just behind the bead. 2, 3, 4. Now she's got nice and secured there. Isn't going anywhere. And then I take my right hand and I come in and I pinch all that marabou to about the length where I want it. Just behind the bend of the hook, and then tear off the excess with my left hand. And there you have the mud and blood micro-leech. This pattern was absolute magic for us. Again, nothing in their throats or stomachs indicated why they were taking it when they were on hyalella, but there it is. There you have it. It's just the way trout are sometimes. They're mysterious in their behaviors. But it produced for us quite a few fish on the last 2 days of the trip. We were thrilled with that. Fish between 3 and 5 pounds. Absolute fun. So if you enjoyed what you watched here, please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, and share this with your friends. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the water. Bye for now.